I'm 53. For a long time, I truly believed my season had passed. I lived quietly, cooked for one, kept the porch clean, folded my evenings into silence. I tucked away the need to be wanted like old sweaters in the top of the closet. And then something happened. It wasn't loud. It wasn't wrong. But it changed everything. I didn't push it away. I didn't stop it either. Don't wait to notice what you're missing. Only when it's already standing too close. I'm 53. Divorced 8 years. No dramatic story. Just it faded. Like a room you stop entering. I live alone in a small house in Georgia. Neighbors are nice. We wave, exchange banana bread, nothing more. My life is tidy. The porch always swept, the sink never full, the curtains closed just enough. People say that's peaceful. I say it's predictable. Every morning is the same. Coffee, crossword, maybe a walk if it's not too hot. I grocery shop on Wednesdays. I vacuum on Sundays. I know the exact number of towels in my closet. But there's one part of the house I never touch. The garage. After the divorce, I told myself I'd get to it. One day. Maybe when it cooled off. Maybe when I felt like opening boxes labeled with years I no longer count. That day didn't come. For 5 years. Until that Saturday. It was hot. That kind of southern heat that sticks to your arms before you even step outside. I had nothing planned. The house was already clean. So I stood in the hallway for a while, staring at the door to the garage like it was a question I didn't want to answer. Then I opened it. The door creaked loud like a breath I hadn't taken in years. Inside was chaos. Old decorations. A cracked mirror. My daughter's tricycle with one wheel off. The smell of dust and old paint. I grabbed a rag and started wiping shelves. Not really cleaning. Just touching things again. And then I heard it. Need a hand, Miss Lisa? I turned. It was Ethan. He stood just outside the garage, backlit by the morning sun. White t-shirt, work gloves in hand, hair messy like he didn't expect to be seen. Last I remembered he was just a kid. Sticky fingers, popsicle stains, running around shirtless with band-aids on his knees. But now, he was a man. Leaner. Taller. His voice had changed. And his eyes didn't dart like boys' eyes do. You don't have to, I said. It's just old junk. I know, he shrugged. Still, I'm around. He walked in like it was nothing. Picked up the biggest box. No hesitation. I should have told him to go. But I didn't. We worked together for hours. Dust, sweat, sunlight. He asked about things. This yours? She drew this. But never too much. Just enough to make the silence between us feel easy. He made space feel lighter. And not just physically. I caught him watching me once, when I bent down to sort through a box of wires. He didn't look away. And I didn't call it out. But my pulse picked up. I handed him a bottle of water. We sat on the garage step. His knee almost touched mine. We didn't speak for a while. But the silence didn't feel empty. 2 bottles sat between us. One was still sealed. One had condensation slipping down the sides, half gone. Mine. I didn't plan to see him again. Not like that. Not so soon. But the next morning I was in the kitchen before 7. No appetite. Just noise in my chest that wouldn't settle. I had 3 bananas on the counter, brown and soft. I stared at them for a full minute before peeling one open. The bread practically made itself. I didn't measure properly. I just moved, flour, cinnamon, walnuts. Poured the batter into 2 small loaf pans. One stayed on the wire rack. The other I wrapped in foil while still warm. I told myself it was for later. Or for the freezer. Or for no one in particular. By mid-afternoon, the sun was heavy on the porch. I heard the low steady whir of Ethan's mower 2 yards over. I watched him a full minute through the blinds. Then I walked out the front door with the foil-wrapped loaf and a bottle of water in hand. No plan. No smile rehearsed. You should take a break, I called as he trimmed the hedges. Just made this. He turned off the trimmer, tugged at the collar of his t-shirt, and wiped sweat from his face. That for me. It's warm. You always make banana bread this good. Or am I just lucky? Maybe you just showed up on the right day. He sat on the porch step with me. No rush. No awkwardness. I watched him take a bite. He hummed. Closed his eyes just for a second. Damn, he muttered, then caught himself. Sorry. It's really good. Pause. You remembered I like this. That part made my stomach shift. Not because it was true, but because it mattered to him that it was. I said nothing. Just watched him chew and wipe his hands on his shorts like a kid. But he wasn't a kid anymore. He stood up after a few minutes. Thanks, Miss Lisa. This might be the best thing I've had all week. Don't tell your mom, I smiled. I won't. She doesn't bake anyway. He walked back across the lawn. I stayed on the steps for a while, holding the bottle of water I didn't drink. That night I went to bed early, but didn't sleep. 3 days later he knocked on the side door. You still got that shelf in the garage? I nodded. He stepped in, hair still wet from a shower, smelling faintly of something citrus. I tried not to notice. We worked quietly. The shelf was heavy. He took most of the weight. Inside the garage the air was thicker than I remembered. Or maybe it was just us. I reached up to dust the top. He steadied the side. Our hands brushed. I stepped back first. Barely. He didn't apologize. He didn't look away. And that somehow made my pulse skip. This space could use a fan, he said, voice low. It broke years ago. I just never replaced it. I can help you fix it. That's okay. I don't mind. He looked at me when he said it. Not like someone offering a favor, like someone trying to stay. I cleared my throat and nodded toward the back door. You want water? Sure. I poured 2 glasses. His glass had 2 ice cubes. Mine had none. I don't know why I noticed that. We sat at the small kitchen table, the one I usually ate at alone. He leaned back in the chair. His knee tapped the underside of the table. I sipped. He didn't. Can I ask you something? He said. You already are. He smiled. Are you lonely? That was the first time I felt like the air left the room. Not from shock. From accuracy. I looked down at the water in my glass. Then at my hands. Then at his. There was no judgment in his face. No pity. Just curiosity. Like the kind kids have when they still want the truth. I didn't answer right away. Instead I stood and walked toward the sink. I rinsed the glasses even though they weren't empty. When I turned around he was closer than I expected. Standing between the table and me. Not crowding. Not looming. Just there. I felt it in my ribs before I realized how close we were. Sorry if that was too personal, he said. It wasn't. He didn't move. And I didn't ask him to. You don't act like most people around here, he said. That's a compliment? It is. Silence stretched. I could hear the fan from the other room. Whining. Inconsistent. I reached behind me to grab a dish towel. Just to do something. He stepped forward. His hand touched mine. Not by accident. Not aggressive. Just contact. Still. Warm. I didn't pull back. I also didn't lean in. I stood there, towel in hand, heart so loud I could feel it in my ears. He looked at me. Not down. Not away. Straight on. And then slowly, he brought his lips to mine. It wasn't bold. It wasn't messy. It was quiet. Focused. Like he'd been holding that question in his mouth for days. And I answered. Not with words. Just by staying there. His hand cupped my cheek, not possessive. Just steady. My fingers curled slightly against the side of his arm. It lasted a few seconds. Then we both stepped back almost at the same time. He blinked first. Then exhaled. I probably should go. Okay. He reached for the doorknob then paused. I didn't plan that. I know. He left his shirt. The one from earlier. Still hanging on the chair in the garage. I didn't move it. I just stood by the counter, pressing the dish towel between my palms. The room smelled like dust, citrus, and something warmer. I stayed there until the sun dipped under the trees. Didn't check my phone. Didn't pour wine. Didn't touch the loaf of banana bread still in the fridge. Just stood still. And knew something had changed. It started with thunder. Far off at first, then closer. Around 6:30 the rain came sudden hard. I hadn't pulled the laundry in. I stood at the window watching my white shirt flap in the wind, soaked to its shape on the line. But I didn't move to get it. I just stood there. The house felt stiller than usual. Not quiet, just waiting. At 7:05, someone knocked at the back door. 3 short taps. Then silence. I opened it slowly. Ethan stood there dripping. T-shirt soaked and clinging to his chest, curls heavy with water, bag of takeout in one hand. "I brought food," he said, lifting the plastic. "You probably haven't eaten yet. You're soaked." "Didn't mean to be." I started walking before it hit. "You walked. It's only 2 houses." Still, I should have told him to go home. I didn't. I opened the door wider. He stepped in carefully, shoes squeaking on the tile. I handed him a towel from the rack and he rubbed it over his head. Water dripped onto the floor. He peeled his shirt off halfway, then thought better of it. Left it hanging damp around his neck. The plastic bag on the table sagged with condensation. The smell of red curry and jasmine rice filled the kitchen fast. "I figured you'd like something spicy on a rainy night." "You figured right." We ate at the table. No music. No news. Just the clink of forks and the hiss of rain. He told me about his shift at the warehouse, how the night crew plays 2000s R&B too loud. I told him I'd found my daughter's old blanket in a garage box, still folded in plastic. We didn't touch. But we didn't sit far apart either. When the food was nearly gone, he noticed the album on the shelf. "You mentioned this the other day. Found it while sorting. Can I see?" I brought it to the table. Old leather binding. A little musty. He flipped through gently page by page. Stopped at one with my daughter in a Halloween costume, tiny wings and glitter cheeks. She looked so happy. She was. She still is, I think. "You guys close?" "As close as she lets me be from Boston." He kept turning. Paused on a photo of me younger. Sitting on the hood of our old Buick. Summer tan, sunglasses pushed back. He looked at it longer than the rest, but didn't say anything. After dinner I stood to clear the dishes. He followed. Took the plates from my hands. Our fingers brushed. I felt it. He did too. We washed in silence. The kitchen light buzzed faintly. I could hear the fan in the next room slowing down. A power dip. Not enough to go out. Just softer. "I used to look at houses like this and think that's what calm must feel like," he said. "It's calm. Until it's not. What changes it? Nothing. Everything." I turned to put the dishes away. He stood behind me now, not moving. Close. Close enough that I could hear the breath through his nose. Feel the heat radiating from his skin to mine. "You don't feel invisible to me," he said. "That's because you're young." "No. It's because you're not." I froze. My hand still on the drawer handle. He didn't reach for me. He waited. "If I'm out of line, I'll leave," he said, voice low. "You're not." He stepped forward. 1 foot. Enough. I didn't move. Not forward. Not away. His hand came up. Brushed a strand of hair from my cheek to behind my ear. His fingers grazed the side of my face just barely. And I let him. I let it happen. "I didn't think you could feel like this," he whispered. "I didn't think anyone would make me." We were standing so close now that the space between us felt decided. He tilted his head slightly, waited, and then he kissed me. Not rushed, not testing, but intentional. Like he'd been holding the impulse in his mouth for days. His lips were warm. The kiss wasn't deep, not yet, but it was clear. There was no way to misread it. My hand found his shoulder. Not to hold, just to know it was real. I kissed him back. Soft, but not unsure. The light above the stove flickered again. Thunder rolled far off. A car passed on the wet street. And just like that we both stepped back. At the same time. Not because we regretted it. Because we both knew. "Lisa. You should go." "I know. It's not because." "I know." He nodded once. Walked to the door. Opened it halfway. Then turned. "I didn't mean to cross a line." "You didn't." He lingered there. Shirt still damp. Towel forgotten on the chair. Eyes still soft. Still the same. Then he stepped out into the rain. Didn't put the hood up. Didn't rush. I stood there. Back pressed lightly to the counter. My hand still warm. My mouth still open a fraction, like a word didn't quite make it out. I walked to the door. Closed it. Didn't lock it. Just let my hand rest on the chot. Longer than necessary. Long enough for the rain to change tempo. Long enough for my breath to even out again. Long enough to know I wouldn't be able to undo that moment, even if I wanted to. And I didn't. He didn't text. Not that night. Not the next. Not even a "did you sleep okay?" I didn't expect him to. But I kept my phone close. Too close. I checked it without reason while stirring soup, while brushing my teeth, while folding towels that weren't even dirty. There was no notification. But the silence had weight. The towel was still on the kitchen chair. From the night he showed up soaked and smiling. I hadn't touched it. It didn't smell like him anymore. Just like a damp thing left too long. But I couldn't move it. Not yet. By the fourth day I told myself to let it go. That it was just a moment. A soft one, yes, but still only a moment. That he was young. Busy. Regretting. That maybe I should too. That afternoon, I saw movement outside the window. I stood behind the curtain, barely pulling it aside. He was at his car. Loading a duffel bag. Slamming the trunk gently like he didn't want to wake the neighborhood. He didn't see me watching. Or maybe he did and pretended not to. I waited until he stepped back toward the front door. Then I walked out the side gate and met him halfway. The sky was pale gray. The kind that feels like it never got around to being day. Going somewhere? I asked, voice steady. Yeah, Nashville. My uncle's not doing great. I'm sorry. Dad asked me to help out for a bit. He looked at me for a moment, then lowered his eyes. It's not about that night. I mean, it's not because of that. I didn't think it was. But I didn't want you wondering. I nodded. Not cold. Not warm. Just a simple gesture. The kind people give when they're still trying to find the shape of something between them. I don't know what I'm doing, he added. But I know I wasn't faking anything. I breathed in. That hurt more than I thought it would. Not because I didn't believe him, but because I did. You don't have to know, I said. But if you felt it, even for a moment, don't pretend you didn't. I won't. Then he stepped forward. Arms around me. No hesitation this time. It wasn't a polite hug. Wasn't quick. It was chest to chest. Steady. His jaw near my temple. My hands on his back, not pulling, not pushing. Just resting. Like I needed to remember the shape of this closeness. Even if this is all it is, he said, voice low. I'm grateful. I closed my eyes. Not to cry. Just to feel it better. Then we let go. Not all at once. Just enough to see each other again. He got in the car. Didn't wave. Didn't look back. Just drove away. Slowly. I stood in the driveway until the taillights disappeared. Then a little longer. Then I went inside. The kitchen was dim. I turned the light on. Then off. Then on again. That soft electric buzz. That same flicker above the stove. I poured water into a glass and left it full on the counter. Didn't drink it. I walked to the garage. Opened the door. It was clean now. Not just tidy, finished. No more boxes. No broken fan. Just space. The folding chair sat where we left it. The rag he used to wipe the shelf was still bunched on the floor. And the faintest scent of sawdust and pine cleaner lingered in the air. I left it all. Didn't move a thing. Later that night I stood in the bathroom. Steam from the kettle had fogged the bottom corner of the mirror. I wiped it away with my sleeve. I stared at myself. Not searching. Just there. Then I opened the drawer. Pulled out a yellow sticky note. Wrote slowly without planning. No one needs to see it. Just don't erase yourself again. I pressed it to the glass. Low off-center. Not dramatic. Not poetic. But mine. I turned off the light. Left the door open a crack. Let the hallway air move in. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like I was waiting for anything. I wasn't swept away. I wasn't confused. I stayed, not because I didn't know better, but because I wanted to see what might happen if just once I didn't walk away. It wasn't about youth or desire. It was about recognition, being seen when I had almost forgotten I still existed. Maybe for the first time in years, I didn't try to be right. I just tried to be real. I used to apologize, even when I hadn't done anything wrong. I used to hold my breath in rooms just to make sure I took up a little less space. And now I ask myself, why do men hide the things that matter most? And why do women like me learn to stop asking? Turns out, freedom doesn't always come from doing something bold. Sometimes it's just not disappearing. If you've ever kept quiet like I did, maybe leave a single dot below. Not for me, but for the version of you that still wants to be known. And every time I walk past that kitchen light, I still see it flicker just once, like someone might still be standing there.